Alien woman furious as human male impregnates her on the first try. The sky above Station Halcyon was calm, painted with slow-moving stars and distant blue light from a nearby gas giant. Inside the station, however, nothing was calm. Zyra of the Cathari stood alone in the medical chamber, her four fingers curled into tight fists. Her skin, usually a calm shade of silver blue, flickered with sharp streaks of violet. Among her people, that color meant rage. "This is not possible," she said again. The medical drone hovered in front of her, silent but steady. Its lights pulsed softly as it rechecked the data. The screen behind it showed symbols from Cathari biology, layered with human medical readings. The result did not change. Zyra was carrying new life. She turned away from the screen, her long coat snapping behind her. "Run the scan again," she ordered. The drone complied. Zyra closed her eyes and tried to slow her breathing. Cathari reproduction was not simple. It never happened by accident. It required years of preparation, genetic alignment, and ceremonial approval. Even then, success was rare. Humans, on the other hand, were considered biologically chaotic, emotional, unpredictable, fascinating but incompatible, or so everyone believed. The drone chimed. "Confirmed," it said in a neutral tone. "Cellular integration complete. Hybrid development detected." Zyra's eyes snapped open. Hybrid. She slammed her palm against the wall, cracking the thin metal panel. "Impossible," she growled. "Humans should not be compatible with us. Our systems reject foreign biology by design." And yet her body had not rejected it. She turned sharply. "How long?" "Development appears to have begun 12 standard hours ago," the drone replied. 12 hours. Zyra's thoughts raced back to the previous day. The diplomatic exchange, the sterile laboratory, the shared genetic interface meant to allow harmless data comparison between species, and the human male, Ethan Cole. He had stood on the other side of the transparent field, nervous and curious. Like most humans, he talked too much when he was unsure. Zyra remembered his voice. Calm, respectful, completely unaware that anything unusual was happening. There had been no warning, no alarms. Just a brief fluctuation in the interface field, so small it had been logged as insignificant. Now it had changed everything. "This cannot be allowed," Zyra said quietly. The drone paused. "Do you wish to inform the High Council?" Her jaw tightened. "They will already know. Data from this chamber is shared automatically." As if summoned by her words, the lights in the room dimmed. A holographic ring formed in the center of the chamber. One by one, figures appeared, tall, elegant shapes with glowing eyes and calm expressions. The High Council of the Cathari. Zyra straightened, forcing her posture into formal alignment. Rage burned inside her, but she would not show weakness before them. "Zyra of the Outer Clans," said the central figure, Elder Threx. "Medical data has reached us." "I assume it has," Zyra replied. "You were assigned as a biological observer," another elder said. "Not a participant." Zyra's eyes flashed. "I did not participate. This was an accident." "Accidents do not create life," Threx said calmly, "especially not across species." "That is why this situation is unacceptable," Zyra snapped. "Something is wrong with the system or with the humans." A ripple of quiet murmurs passed through the council. "Careful," Threx warned. "Your words approach accusation." Zyra took a breath. "Then allow me to state facts. Cathari reproduction requires extreme compatibility. Humans have none of our markers, yet my body has accepted human genetic input instantly. On the first exposure, that alone threatens everything we understand about ourselves." Silence followed. Then another elder spoke. "The human male, identify him." "Ethan Cole," Zyra said, "a systems engineer, no special rank, no known enhancements." "Then this makes even less sense," the elder replied. Threx studied Zyra closely. "Your emotional state is unstable." Zyra did not deny it, because this is not just a medical issue. This is cultural, political, evolutionary. Yes, Threx agreed, which is why the Council will take control of this matter. Zyra stiffened. I am still Cathari. And the pregnancy makes you a variable, Threx said. Variables must be contained. The word struck harder than any insult. Contained. You speak as if I am a problem, Zyra said. You are a risk, Threx corrected. This hybrid development could alter interstellar balance. If humans can reproduce with us so easily, they didn't do this on purpose, Zyra interrupted. The human does not even know. That will change, Threx replied. He must be informed. Zyra's mind raced. Ethan had looked so ordinary, soft even. Compared to Cathari warriors, humans were fragile, and yet her body had responded to his biology faster than to any Cathari male in recorded history. Anger surged again, not just at the situation but at herself. This is an insult, she said, to our science, to our discipline. Or a revelation, one elder suggested quietly. Zyra turned sharply. No, Threx raised a hand. Enough, Zyra, you will remain under observation. The hybrid development will continue until we understand its nature. And if you decide you do not like the results, Zyra asked. The council did not answer immediately. That silence told her everything. The holograms faded, leaving Zyra alone once more. She exhaled slowly, her shoulders trembling, not with fear but with fury. Across the station, Ethan Cole sat in a small observation lounge, staring at his hands. He had been asked to wait. No explanation, no warning. Something in the air felt wrong. A security drone hovered nearby, pretending not to watch him. He swallowed. I didn't do anything, he muttered to himself. He thought of Zyra, the way she spoke with precision, the way her eyes seemed to see through everything. He had admired her, nothing more, respect, curiosity, if only he knew what was happening now. Back in the medical chamber, Zyra placed a hand against her abdomen. Cathari could sense internal changes early. There was something there, small, unfamiliar, but undeniably real. Her anger sharpened into something colder. This will not be taken from me, she whispered. Whether the council liked it or not, this was her body, her future. And somewhere deep within her fury was a question she refused to voice yet. If this was impossible, why did it feel like the beginning of something far bigger than any of them? Zyra had not slept. Sleep came easily to most Cathari. Their minds were trained from early age to rest when needed. Zyra's mind refused. Every time she closed her eyes, her thoughts returned to the same truth. Her body had changed. The medical chamber lights were dim, set to a calm cycle, but nothing felt calm. Zyra stood near the window, staring out at the stars. Her reflection stared back, tall, sharp-featured, controlled. Yet beneath the surface, her biology was working in ways no Cathari had ever recorded. She placed a hand against her side again. The sensation was faint, more awareness than feeling, but it was there. Real. Behind her, the door opened with a soft sound. You were ordered to rest. Zyra did not turn. I was ordered to be observed. That does not require sleep. Elder Threx entered the chamber, his movements slow and deliberate. Your stress levels remain elevated. That can affect development. That concern comes too late, Zyra replied coldly. Threx stopped a few steps away. You continue to display hostility. I continue to display reason, Zyra said. Something unprecedented has happened and the council's response is fear. Fear is survival, Threx said. You know that. Zyra finally turned to face him. Then answer me this. Why am I treated like a threat while the humans are treated like a mystery? Threx's eyes narrowed slightly. Because the change occurred in you. That does not make me the cause. Silence stretched between them. The human male will be brought here, Threx said. You will speak with him. Zyra stiffened. Why? Because understanding requires interaction, and because your reaction will be observed. Observed, Zyra repeated, like an experiment. You are still Cathari, Threx said evenly, but you are also unique. He turned and left without another word. Zyra's jaw tightened until it ached. Across the station, Ethan Cole paced the small room he had been placed in. The walls were smooth and pale without corners. No windows, no clock. He had tried asking questions. The drones did not answer. His thoughts kept looping. Had he broken a rule, said something wrong? Humans were guests here. One mistake could end everything. The door slid open. Ethan froze. Zyra stepped inside. Her presence filled the room instantly. Ethan had always thought she carried herself like gravity followed her. Today, that feeling was stronger. "Sit," Zyra said. He sat. The door closed behind her. For a moment, neither spoke. "You are aware something is wrong," Zyra said finally. Ethan nodded slowly. "Yes, no one tells me anything, but I can feel it." Zyra studied him. He looked smaller than she remembered, tired, worried, not dangerous. And yet, "You were part of a genetic interface yesterday," she said. "Yes," Ethan replied. "It was supposed to be harmless." "It was," Zyra said, "by all known science." Ethan swallowed. "Then why am I here?" Zyra did not soften her voice. "Because an outcome occurred." His brow furrowed. "What kind of outcome?" She watched his face closely. Humans were expressive. Every emotion passed across their features without discipline. "There has been a biological response," she said. "One that should not exist." Ethan frowned. "You're saying something changed?" "Yes." He hesitated. "Did I hurt someone?" Zyra felt a strange pull in her chest at the question. "No." "Then tell me," he said. "Please." Zyra took a breath. "My body has accepted human genetic material." The words hung between them. Ethan blinked. "Accepted as in?" "As in reproduction," Zyra said flatly. His face drained of color. That's not possible," he said quickly. "Humans can't, I mean, we didn't, there was no—" "I know," Zyra snapped. "That is the problem." He stood up halfway, then stopped himself. "Are you saying this happened because of me?" "Yes." The word landed hard. Ethan ran a hand through his hair, breathing faster. "I swear I didn't do anything. I followed every protocol." "I believe you," Zyra said. He looked up sharply. "You do." "This was not intent," she said. "It was incompatibility failing." That did not comfort him. "I'm sorry," Ethan said quietly. "I don't even know what for, but I am." Zyra watched him. No arrogance, no pride, just fear and confusion. Her anger had nowhere to go. "The council is debating consequences," she said. "Consequences for who?" Ethan asked. "For everyone." A heavy silence followed. "What happens now?" Ethan asked. Zyra did not answer immediately. She turned away, her hands clenched. "They see this as a flaw," she said, "either in me or in our understanding of ourselves." "And the child?" Ethan asked before he could stop himself. Zyra froze. "The hybrid," she corrected. "I didn't mean to offend," he said quickly. "You did not," Zyra replied, "but your word choice reveals something." "What?" "That you already see it as alive," she said. Ethan hesitated. "Is it not?" Zyra had no answer ready. The council had avoided that question deliberately. Medical scans showed rapid development, faster than Cathari norms, faster than human norms. Something new was forming. "Yes," she said finally, "it is alive." Ethan sank back into the chair, stunned. "I don't understand," he said. "Your people are advanced. You plan everything. How could this just happen?" Zyra's voice hardened. "That belief may be the lie." She stepped closer. "Humans adapt. You survive chaos. Your biology is reckless, flexible, and persistent." "That doesn't sound like praise," Ethan said weakly. "It is not condemnation either," Zyra replied. "It is unsettling." A soft chime echoed through the room. Zyra's communicator activated. "Zyra of the Cathari," Threx's voice said, "scans show accelerated neural formation, faster than projected." Zyra's eyes narrowed. "How much faster?" "Enough to concern us." Ethan looked between them. "Concern how?" Threx's hologram appeared. "This development challenges stability. The council will take custody once containment procedures are ready." Zyra's blood went cold. "No," she said. "This is not a request," Threx replied. "You speak of my body as if it is property," Zyra said, her voice shaking with controlled fury. You are part of a greater whole, Threx said. Always have been. Zyra stepped forward. And if the whole is wrong, silence. Threx looked at Ethan. Human, you are dismissed. Ethan stood slowly. I'm not leaving. Zyra glanced at him, surprised. This happened to both of us, he said. Running won't change it. Threx studied him with new interest. Escort him out, Threx ordered the drones. As Ethan was led away, Zyra's gaze followed him. For the first time since the diagnosis, her anger shifted direction. Not at herself, not at the human, but at the system that believed control mattered more than truth. She placed a hand against her side again. Whatever this was, it was growing. And the council was afraid. The station corridors felt colder than usual. Zyra moved quickly, her long boots echoing against the metallic floor. The med chamber behind her had been quiet for hours, but silence now carried tension. The council had been convened again, and she could feel their eyes on her, even when she was alone. She paused near a viewport, staring out at the distant gas giant that bathed the station in pale blue light. Its swirling storm seemed insignificant compared to the storm inside her. She pressed her hand against her abdomen again, feeling the faint pulse of new life. The sensation was strange, more awareness than feeling, but undeniable. The hybrid inside her was growing faster than any Cathari life form ever had, and the faster it grew, the more the council panicked. Threx's voice echoed from the communicator on her wrist. Zyra, your presence is required immediately in the council chamber. Zyra exhaled sharply. She knew what awaited her. The council had called a special session, not just to observe, but to decide the fate of the hybrid. She had fought to protect herself, but could she protect the child? Or rather, could she protect what this child represented? The corridor stretched endlessly, yet she walked without hesitation. Her mind replayed everything that had happened since the first scan. 12 hours had marked the beginning of an impossible event. Her body had accepted human genetic material on the first attempt. Against every known law of Cathari biology, conception had occurred instantly. No ceremony, no alignment, no preparation, just life forming inside her. Her species viewed reproduction as sacred. Each life carefully measured, balanced, and nurtured. And yet here she was, carrying a hybrid, something unpredictable, something unprecedented. The council chamber doors slid open silently. Zyra entered. The chamber's circular shape magnified the gravity of her presence. The council was already there, their figures tall, imposing, and glowing faintly. Elder Threx sat in the center, eyes fixed on her. You have arrived, Threx said, voice calm but firm. We have reviewed the latest scans. Zyra nodded. Yes, I have seen them. The child is developing as expected, faster than expected. Faster than any Cathari life form, Threx confirmed. This is why we are concerned. Zyra clenched her fists. Concerned or afraid, Threx did not flinch. The council does not fear life, we fear instability. And what you carry is unstable by every measure known to us. Zyra's voice rose. Unstable, you speak as if my body and the child are tools, experiments. I am not a subject and this life is not an object. A ripple of murmurs passed through the council. Zyra ignored them. She had waited too long to argue in silence. The child, Threx continued, has been identified as a hybrid, a combination of Cathari and human genetics. Its growth rate, cellular complexity, and adaptability are all unprecedented. Zyra's glare sharpened. You know this. You have the scans, yet you discuss it as if it is a threat. It is not simply a threat, Threx said carefully. It is unknown, and the unknown must be studied, carefully, with control. Control, Zyra repeated, teeth gritted. You speak of control, but what about responsibility? What about respect for life, for choice, for evolution? Threx leaned forward slightly. Zyra, the council must act. The hybrid must be observed. Its development is too rapid for us to ignore. And its existence could shift interstellar balance. Zyra took a deep breath. Then let us speak plainly. You fear humans, you fear change, but the child is not a weapon, it is not a tool, it is life. A long pause followed. Life, Threx said finally, that cannot exist without the involvement of a human male. Zyra's eyes flickered toward the door. Ethan Cole was outside, waiting. He had been informed that the council wished to meet him, but she had insisted he remain in observation for his own safety. She could not protect him forever, but she had to try. "Bring him in," she commanded. Two security drones silently slid the doors open, and Ethan entered. His face showed confusion, concern, and a faint trace of fear. Zyra's anger softened slightly as she watched him. He had not caused this on purpose. He had not understood. And yet, in some impossible way, he had become part of something greater than both of them. "You are aware of what this means," Zyra said, standing tall. Ethan nodded slowly. "Yes, I don't know how it happened. I didn't do anything wrong." Zyra's expression softened. "No, you did not. This was beyond intent, beyond preparation. It was biology responding in ways we do not yet understand." The council watched silently. Threx's gaze lingered on Ethan, noting his human expression of uncertainty. "You were part of the interface," Threx said. "Your biology interacted with Cathari systems." "The child is a result," Ethan's brow furrowed. "I didn't even know that was possible." "Nor did anyone," Zyra said. "That is the problem." Threx gestured to the display behind him. Scans of the hybrid floated above, revealing complex structures of cellular activity. The hybrid's growth rate was nearly double the fastest Cathari embryos on record. Neural connections were forming within days that would normally require months. "This cannot be ignored," Threx said. "The Council must take control once containment procedures are ready." Zyra's body tensed. "Control? You speak as if the child is a hazard, as if it is a failure." "It is neither failure nor success," Threx replied. "It is unknown, and unknowns demand caution." Zyra turned to Ethan. "Do you understand what is happening?" Ethan shook his head slightly. "No, but I want to help." Her gaze softened. Humans were fragile, yes, but determined. Unlike most species, they did not give up when faced with incomprehensible odds. She had seen this in Ethan yesterday, and now she realized it again. "You will not be harmed," she said. "If you cooperate," Ethan nodded. "I will," Threx leaned back. "We will not act hastily, but the hybrid's existence must be monitored. Accelerated growth and adaptability could have consequences we cannot yet predict." Zyra clenched her fists again. "Consequences for whom? The child or our fear of the unknown?" Silence filled the room. Finally, Zyra spoke softly, almost to herself. "I have carried life before. I have trained with embryos, studied them, nurtured them. Never has one formed this way, not in decades of observation. This child is different." "It is unique," Threx admitted, "and that is why the Council remains vigilant." Zyra exhaled slowly. Her rage did not disappear, it changed into something sharper: determination. The Council had underestimated her. They had treated her body as a vessel, her child as an anomaly, but she would not allow fear to dictate this life's fate. The hybrid was not a threat. It was evolution, something new. Ethan watched her, sensing her resolve. Humans were accustomed to chance, to chaos, and he understood now this was not chance. This was something larger, something neither species could yet comprehend. "Whatever happens," Zyra said, voice steady, "I will not allow control to strip us of choice. This child is ours, mine. Not a weapon, not an experiment, life." Threx inclined his head slowly. "Your position is noted, but the Council will maintain oversight. The hybrid's growth cannot be ignored." Zyra's eyes narrowed. "Oversight, observation, I accept observation. But interference will not be tolerated." A ripple of murmurs passed through the council chamber. Threx's gaze lingered on her, thoughtful. "Then let it be understood," Zyra said. "I am Cathari. I am a guardian of life. And I will not stand aside while my duty is threatened by fear." The council fell silent. Even Threx, who had spoken with authority for decades, had no immediate response. Zyra had shifted the dynamic. She was no longer just a subject. She was a force. And the hybrid inside her was a symbol of that change. As the session ended, Zyra and Ethan were left alone in the chamber. The lights dimmed, leaving the room bathed in a soft glow. Ethan looked at her quietly. "You're angry, but not just at the council, are you?" Zyra pressed her hand to her side. "No, I am angry at the limits we set for ourselves, at fear disguised as caution, and at the way this event has been interpreted as a threat instead of a miracle." Ethan nodded slowly. "I understand. I don't know much about your people, but I think I understand why this matters so much." Zyra's gaze softened. "It matters because life is sacred, because we have the choice to protect it, to guide it, to accept it. And because the unknown can teach us more than certainty ever could." They stood together in silence. Outside, the stars continued to shine over Station Halcyon, indifferent to the conflicts inside. But inside, change was underway. The hybrid within Zyra's body was not just a life. It was a message, a challenge, a new path that neither humans nor Cathari could ignore. And Zyra, for the first time in years, felt the future pressing forward, not as a threat but as a responsibility. Whatever the council decided, whatever the galaxy feared, one truth remained. The hybrid was coming, and she would protect it. The council chambers were silent. Zyra stood before the gathered elders, her expression calm but firm. Months had passed since the initial discovery of the hybrid. During that time, she had endured endless scans, endless debates, and endless whispered warnings about the consequences of her child's existence. Yet she had grown stronger, more certain. The hybrid within her was no longer just a medical anomaly. It had begun to form recognizable patterns of thought, awareness, and life. Even in the womb, the energy it radiated was undeniable. Zyra had spent hours observing, feeling the subtle rhythms, noting the rapid development. Faster than Cathari norms, yet coherent, intelligent, and alive. "You stand before us again," Elder Threx said, his tone neutral but heavy with authority. "The council requires assurance. The hybrid continues to develop outside our expectations. We must decide containment or intervention." Zyra did not flinch. "I understand your concern, but intervention is not the answer. This life is not a weapon. It is a bridge. A connection between species, something greater than fear." A murmur passed through the chamber. The council had not expected her to speak with such resolve. Her anger, once raw and stormy, had transformed into power, controlled, clear, unyielding. "Bridge?" another elder asked. "You suggest this life represents unity?" "Yes," Zyra said firmly. "It represents adaptation, survival, and understanding. Humans and Cathari are different, but that does not mean incompatible. The hybrid proves potential, not threat." Threx studied her, his glowing eyes revealing the slightest hint of curiosity. "And if your judgment fails, if this child cannot survive in either society," Zyra's gaze hardened, "then it will survive through guidance, protection, and acceptance. We do not destroy what we do not understand, we nurture it." For a long moment, silence ruled the chamber. Even Threx, the measured voice of reason and authority, seemed unsure. Zyra had shifted the balance. She was no longer a passive participant. She was the protector, the advocate, and she would not be silenced. The doors slid open. Ethan Cole entered, moving with quiet determination. His presence, though human and small in comparison to the Cathari, carried weight. Zyra's eyes softened slightly. Humans were fragile yet capable of remarkable courage. Ethan had proven that from the very beginning. "You were requested," Threx said. "Your input is now required." Ethan glanced at Zyra, then at the council. I don't know what to say, but I know this. I did not cause harm. He stopped. Words seemed inadequate. "I only participated in research, and now life exists because of that. Life that we can guide, not control." Zyra gave him a small nod. Together they stood, a human and a Cathari facing a council of centuries-old authority. Together they represented the impossible, the unknown, and the future. Guidance, Threx repeated slowly. Perhaps that is the correct term. Observation alone is insufficient. Zyra's hands went to her abdomen. She felt the pulse, the faint thrum of energy, the rapid development. The hybrid was aware even in this early stage. Its presence was a constant reminder. Evolution could not be controlled, only respected. I will not allow interference, Zyra said. Containment is unnecessary. The child will grow under my supervision with cooperation from this council, but it will not be taken as a threat. Not now, not ever. Another elder leaned forward, cautious but intrigued. And the human male, what role does he play? Ethan stepped forward, voice steady. I will cooperate fully. I do not claim authority. I do not demand rights, but I will ensure the child is protected. Whatever it needs, I will help provide. I am responsible in any way I can be. Zyra's eyes softened. Responsibility did not always feel like a burden. With Ethan, there was a shared purpose, a human understanding that complemented her Cathari strength. The council deliberated. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. The hybrid's presence filled the room, felt even without sight or sound. Its rapid growth, its awareness, made every moment charged with possibility. Finally, Threx spoke. The council accepts your terms, Zyra. Observation will continue, but interference is prohibited unless necessary for safety. The hybrid will be acknowledged as life, not experiment. Relief flooded Zyra, though it was tempered by caution. Approval from the council did not mean challenges would end. The galaxy would watch. Other species would react. And yet, for now, she had won a vital victory. The chamber emptied. Zyra and Ethan remained standing together. It's not over, Zyra said softly, but it is a start. Ethan nodded. I understand, and I will follow your lead. Outside, the station hummed with activity, unaware of the monumental shift within. Zyra walked to the mid-chamber where the hybrid pulsed with gentle energy. She placed her hand lightly on her side. You are coming into the world faster than expected, she whispered. But you are ours to protect, ours to guide. The pulse shifted slightly, as if acknowledging her words. Zyra allowed herself a small smile. The council might fear the unknown, but she would not. She had embraced it. Days turned into weeks. The hybrid continued to develop at an accelerated pace, surpassing early expectations. Zyra and Ethan worked together, studying, monitoring, and learning. They discovered subtle patterns, behaviors, responses, and connections that defied previous understanding. Through it all, Zyra noticed a change within herself. Her anger had not disappeared, but it had transformed into determination. She had once been furious at the council, at circumstance, and at fear itself. Now she focused on the future, the life growing inside her and the possibilities it represented. Ethan often spoke quietly, offering insights, asking questions, and sometimes sharing laughter. He was human, yet capable of bravery, thoughtfulness, and understanding beyond what many Cathari expected. Zyra began to respect him, not only as an ally but as a partner in this shared responsibility. And then, one morning, Zyra observed something extraordinary. The hybrid had formed its first independent neural connection, a small, glowing spark visible in advanced scans. It was simple, yet powerful. Awareness, consciousness. Life asserting itself in its own way without guidance or interference. She called Ethan to the chamber. Look, she said, pointing at the scan. Ethan's eyes widened. It's thinking, it's aware. Yes, Zyra said softly, and it is growing stronger every day. Faster than any Cathari embryo, faster than human norms, but it is coherent, intelligent, and alive. Ethan looked at her, hope and wonder shining in his eyes. We did this together. Zyra smiled faintly. Not we, life did this, we merely witnessed it. The hybrid continued to grow, forming connections between Cathari and human biology, proving that cooperation between species was possible. Zyra knew that when the time came, the hybrid would be more than an individual. It would represent unity, potential, and understanding. Months passed and the station adapted. Researchers and medics worked carefully, documenting the hybrid's development. Other species took notice, some with curiosity, others with skepticism. Zyra's role evolved from protector to mentor, guiding the hybrid's growth while teaching those who observed the importance of respect, patience, and responsibility. Through it all, Zyra's anger had transformed fully. What had once been rage at an impossible event had become resolve, a determination to protect life, to honor potential, and to embrace change. She had faced the council, faced herself, and faced the unknown, and she had emerged stronger, wiser, and unyielding. Ethan stood beside her one final evening, watching the stars with quiet awe. "You've changed," he said softly. "Life changes us," Zyra replied, "and sometimes it changes the world." They did not need words to explain the bond forming between them and the child. It was simple. Pure responsibility and care, hope, and far above the gas giant, beyond the eyes of any council or species, the hybrid pulsed with life. Its presence was proof that the impossible could exist, that fear could be overcome, that the universe still held mysteries worth embracing. Zyra placed her hand over her abdomen and whispered one last promise. "We will face everything together. No council, no species, no fear will take this from us. You are life, you are future, and we will protect you always." The hybrid pulsed once, bright and steady, as if responding. Zyra smiled, knowing that for the first time the impossible had become reality, not as a threat but as hope. And in that moment she understood fully. The universe did not belong to those who controlled it. It belonged to those brave enough to protect what was precious. The hybrid had arrived. The future had begun.